Well, hello, hello, hello. It is us again. Those two guys that you love so well. The two guys that are probably your favorite filmmakers out of Austin, Texas.
We're your favorite guys.
Yeah, we are. We already know you are. I mean, you may not admit it yet, but our films are amazing. At least they're going to be whenever we continue making more. With your help. With your help.
That's why we're coming here to you today to ask for your money.
Yes.
Want that cash?
Yes, because you know we are awesome filmmakers. So we would really like for you to donate a bunch of money so that we can make movies. We're going to make them.
Oh, we're going to make them, all right.
Right. We're going to make them. We just need your help. Now, are they going to make money back?
No, of course not. Movies don't make money, okay?
You thought they did you?
Maybe in the 90s.
Maybe.
Not anymore, okay?
No, we are A Place Pictures, Austin filmmakers here. It is Dylan Herin-Soule, and I am Avraham Yehuda. And we have this channel. This is our A Place Pictures YouTube channel where we give you content like podcasts often, and as well as occasional movie reviews, different kinds of videos. And this is us. So here we are. What do you think?
This is the podcast version that we're bringing to you, the podcast. Mm-hmm. A Place Podcast, we call it.
This is A Place Podcast. I don't know why I did an evil laugh right there. It felt right at the time, but then it sounded terrible.
You know what, man? You're getting real dark.
Oh, good thing we had that discussion earlier, right?
Exactly.
I mean, okay, Dylan.
About the lighting?
Okay, I don't know. I can't say I'm getting dark. I mean, the dark guys who do stuff like this. Actually, they do. They do. I heard it. All right. So, but yeah, all of that to say, we're A Place Pictures.
That's right.
Yep.
It's a production company, and we make movies and, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's all good. Mm-hmm. We like to make movies. And we like to make movies. It's good.
Like we really like.
We like making movies. Is there anything wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
Apparently it is. Since nobody wants to give us money to do it.
Nobody wants to give us money to do it.
So apparently there's something wrong with making movies.
There's something wrong with making movies.
Anyway. Well, hopefully, after this podcast today, you will want to invest into...
I think they've already stopped watching at this point.
Possibly. Very possible.
So,
well, maybe we should just, I guess, kick into it.
We should kick into it.
Thank you for the faithful ones that are left.
Yeah. You are our true heroes.
True heroes.
How's your week been?
So, pretty good week. Looked up some interesting movie stuff. I went and checked out Captain America, actually.
Captain America?
Yeah.
You talking about the new one with Harrison Ford?
Yeah. Also with Anthony Mackie.
Who's he?
Exactly.
He's the new captain, isn't he?
Exactly. Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear what just happened there?
He's the new captain.
He's the new Captain America. Yeah. And I guess I'm not going to go into a review of the film, but...
Sucked.
It was... It was interesting reading up on it because you can tell Marvel was really trying to go with like a very different feel. I guess this is the sort of transitional movie, so to speak, and it definitely felt like it. It definitely felt like it. But I found out it's interesting. The guy that directed it, I believe his name is Julius Ona, if I'm pronouncing it that right. Hopefully, I'm not messing that name up, but. He's a Nigerian American filmmaker. They hired him. Apparently he's the guy that did Cloverfield Paradox, and I did not like that film.
Worst movie I've seen.
Yeah, so
it's awful.
But they got him to direct this one, and I'll just say I would have stuck with the Russos. Actually, speaking of, I think the Russos do a really good job with the Marvel material. I think that's why Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity Wars, and Endgame were so successful. Because I really think as from a filmmaking point of view, I think those are the strongest, most cohesive Marvel films that they have. So, yeah, that was kind of my movie news of the week. Just reading up on that, but it was exciting, going to see it. I guess I'll just throw in a few little things. The movie wasn't a complete atrocity. It was fun. It was pretty fun to watch, fun to see some stuff. And I actually, Anthony Mackie, I've never been a huge Anthony Mackie fan. And I realized after watching Captain America that the reason I'm not a fan is because I think he doesn't pick roles that stretch him enough. But in this movie, you actually got to see him kind of go there, acting a little bit, which was that was actually pretty fun. And now cool. I'm ready to see him take on a more diverse list of roles. I guess interestingly enough, years ago he was actually in a movie called She Hate Me, directed by Spike Lee. Oh. I forgot about that. Really interesting. Like Spike Lee kind of going to that old Spike Lee place he goes to, but not the strongest by Spike Lee. I'm sorry, not the strongest by Spike Lee, I'd say, but it's really interesting now looking at Falcon. But Anthony Mackie playing that character he plays in She Hate Me, because basically it's about a guy who's sleeping with women to get through college and impregnating them to get through college. It's pretty intense, man.
To get through college.
Yeah, they pay him.
Oh, they pay him.
Yeah.
Interesting. I never even heard of that movie.
Mm-hmm. She Hate Me is the name of it.
Huh. Well, yeah, Anthony Mackie, he's okay. The thing about he's not that interesting acting wise, but yet I root for him. You know what I mean? Like he's got something about him that's like an innocence to him, or something. Like I really don't know anything about him as a person in like real life, but something about him seems like he's got integrity. Maybe it's just because he's Captain America now, but like,
well, there's something about him that can pull off that hero, though.
Yeah,
I see what you mean. Yeah,
he's got that. He actually is really good casting for that role, I think, because
it's hilarious, man. He plays I believe it's Notorious. I believe it's the film Notorious about Notorious B.I.G.
Oh yeah, he's in that.
He plays Tupac.
Really? Wow. Is that good?
Actually, that is a pretty good movie. And then before, of course, he did his hip hop thing. He was in 8 Mile, the movie with Eminem.
Yeah, he's in that.
Directed by Curtis Hanson. Yeah, he's the main villain.
Wow, I've never seen that one.
Yeah, he's been around, man.
Yeah, I didn't realize
he's been around.
He's been around that long.
Mm-hmm. What about you? Would you?
So were we in? My week or?
Yeah.
My week is. It's been all right. Yeah. Worried about everything all the time, but aside from that, it's been all right.
We're gonna make it, man.
I know.
We're gonna make it.
Yeah, I'm into that. Too many scary things. The internet's so scary. You go on there, everything's so. It's a bummer, Isn't it a bummer? The internet. You get on there. It's not you look at your feed. It's advertisement after advertisement. There's no. Where's your friends? I don't know. Maybe you'll see them every once in a while, but mostly you'll see celebrity news and this. It is turned into like sad. It's very sad for me, And I wish there was a platform that was not ad sponsor. I don't know. Zuckerberg, why did you chose to go to the dark side? Why? We could have had so much. We could have had it all. We had goodness in the internet. The internet could have been so good, and it's crappy. It's just crappy. That's a bummer. That bums me out. That's how we communicate to people. That's how we get things out. That's how we advertise. That's how we talk to the people, and internet just bums me out. But
you all right, man? You okay?
No, I want the internet to be good again. All right, that's my new platform. I'm going straight to the top, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna demand the internet be good again, because it could be.
Because it could.
Remember websites? Remember when we went to www.differentthings, and everyone had a web. You had websites.
Websites.
We didn't go to the social media. We had different websites. Homestarrunner.com. I mean, come on. Newgrounds. Hello, anybody? Yahoo Mail. AOL. MySpace. It's ever since we left MySpace.
Yeah, the ending of MySpace brought a travesty upon the internet.
Really
Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
But the time we stopped seeing Tom, man, that friendly face.
He was a good dude. Tom was a good dude.
Tom was great. Tom on MySpace was
great.
Yeah, I mean, I actually met him in real life.
What was he like?
And apparently he didn't remember any of it.
Oh.
Yeah, it was weird.
What's that mean?
I have no idea. Or maybe there really wasn't Tom.
What was his name?
Tom.
Oh.
Okay, look. So check it out. I go up to him. I go, "Hey, you look like Tom from MySpace." He's like, and he just kind of smiles. And I go, "Are you Tom from MySpace?" And he said no. And that convinced me that he was.
He was bluffing.
Yeah, he had to be. I mean, he had on the white T-shirt and everything. He was leaning in. He was smiling. It brought shivers because it reminded me of that beautiful time in 2005 when I first saw him on the computer.
He was our first friend.
Yeah, the first friend.
Yeah.
So, and when you lose your first friend on the internet that you're talking about, it results in what it resulted in.
The destruction of the internet.
And the rise of Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh, man. But that's bummer. That's a bummer thing.
Yeah.
It's not all bad. I think there's good stuff in life.
Thankfully.
Yeah. But to tell you what, the internet, bummer. What a bummer. We got to do something about it. We really do. Well, yeah, so...
And I guess that's that.
That's that. That's my update. I'm bummed out by the internet. So what do we got?
So today, our movie thingy of the Weeky, I love that name. This is interesting, right? I was thinking, what fictional character in a film, specifically a film, would I like to meet in real life? Yeah. Now, it could be any genre, fantasy, any one of them, but I think it's more interesting if it's a fictional character that's a little more realistic than, say, Dumbo or something like that. Okay. But if you want to, we can go there. But I think it's more intriguing if we pick a realistic fictional character from a film. What do you got, Dylan? What do you think?
Well, I actually don't have one yet. You go first. You got
okay. So when I thought about this, right?
Yeah.
I thought about all kinds of crazy stuff, right? Because when you say that, like, a list pops up.
Brain,
right? You know what I mean? That could be Gandalf. You know what I mean? It could be the guy from Get Out. You know what I mean? It could be unfortunately, it could be something crazy like Satan from Legend, which I do not want to meet. But anyway, it could be all kinds of things, right? Which is why I was like, all right, well, let me hone it in a little bit. Like, what simple character, or it could be from a film or a TV show. But I'm thinking, like, what simple character would I like to meet? Like, and I thought about a few. And one of them is Darius from the show Atlanta.
Okay.
You remember which one Darius is?
No, I'm not too familiar with that show.
So he's played by Lakeith Stanfield.
Okay.
And he's basically like a pothead. Like, Atlanta is like one of my favorite shows that has ever been made. And Darius though he's like he's a lot of the comic relief, especially the dynamic between him and Paperboy. But his character, the reason I like to meet that character in real life, because as goofy and as clueless and as sort of silly as he seems, he has these nuggets of wisdom that he will just say at any moment, and it's hilarious. Like there's one scene where Paperboy, who's like a rapper, you know what I mean? He's very masculine and everything. Paperboy is talking about how he likes women to call him daddy, you know, when they're doing things.
Yeah.
And Darius looks at him, and you think Darius is going to say something completely silly. And Darius is just like, you know, I think that comes from your internal problem with your own father. I mean, I'm probably ruining that quote. He may have said something different, but it's hilarious. But that's what I mean. Like, he's that kind of character. And then, like, in the next scene, he'll say something completely, like, silly. It almost doesn't seem like those two things come out of the same person sometimes. And that's just that's why, because I think he'd be entertaining to hang out with, because he'll probably laugh with some of the silly things he says. But he can also bring a very awesome amount of wisdom to a discussion. And he's a fascinating character to me. And I would also ask him, so, you know, I remember there was a fan theory that Darius wasn't real. And so if I were to meet him in real life, I would be like, were you real?
Were you real?
You know?
Well, if you saw him in real life, he would be real, right? At that point.
Did y'all hear that?
All right. So if you want to meet a wise cracking dude, if you're sitting right next to him. I am white, though. That's the big difference.
Did you?
Yeah. Maybe that's not.
Really?
That's cool. But yeah, I am white.
You're awesome, man. You're awesome. Oh, I know. It's okay, buddy.
No, he's cool. He's cool. He's cooler than me. That's all there is to it. He's cooler than me.
He's funny.
I need to watch that show.
But yeah, just the thought of that. What fictional characters? It's so many. Like, especially if you're a movie buff.
Oh yeah, there's
so many characters go through your head. You know what I mean? To where you gotta hone it in and just say, okay, you know, which one in particular. You know, because think about it. Like, I thought about, like, what about, like, Gandalf? And I go, well, how fascinating would that really be? Like, because in real life, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, it seemed like it would be pretty cool to meet somebody that has those powers, but I already saw him do that stuff in the movie.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's like, well.
Which actually, that leads me to a different movie thing of the Weeky we can do later. I'll save it, but it's to do with that.
Yeah?
Yeah. But it's
about Gandalf.
It's about Gandalf, and
Scary.
no, it's nothing to do with Gandalf, but unless you want it to be about Gandalf. But there, because what would you if you meet? Because okay, here's mine, which is a weird, like, just because I just kind of it pops into my head, but there is so many characters that would be cool to meet. Mm-hmm. I, for some reason, and I'm not even a huge, like, fan of this. I'm not a fan, but Indiana Jones would be like an interesting guy to meet. I don't know why that pops into my head, but just because I guess, you know, he's a teacher. That's cool. I would learn a lot from, you know, being like, what's going on? And also, if he could take me on an adventure too, that'd be cool. Like, he's got that whip and that hat. That's cool. I'd ask to try that out, of course. I don't know. Indiana Jones, I guess, is mine, but I'm sure there's ones that are better. It's a weird one, though.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. It's like, and then they're definitely fictional characters.
What would we talk about?
Yeah.
What are, so, like, to get more specific, Are we just hanging out, like at a coffee shop meeting, or like,
Yeah, I guess we gotta hone it in some kind of way.
what?
Yeah, so you have one, for whatever character. So the fictional character that you want to
An
meet.
adventure for the day.
No.
we're just like hanging out.
Yeah, so the fictional character that you want to meet, you can only have one hangout over coffee and one discussion. That's it.
Okay. Yeah.
See, that even changes it there, because then I'm like, well, now I wouldn't mind meeting certain characters that I wouldn't want to meet, because then they're limited to that time.
Oh, you got okay. And so, like, if they're dangerous, it's like safe. Like, they're not going to be dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe Indiana Jones would be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, sure. Yeah, he'd have all sorts of cool stuff. Because here's why. Because he has stories that he's gone through, right?
Ah, that's true.
So if you're just talking with him, it's like, tell me a story. Tell me, like, what adventures have you gone through?
Yeah, because he's done a bunch of stuff, clearly.
You traveled back. Well, I don't want to spoil the last movie, but.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen that?
Oh, yeah.
Last movie?
Dial of Destiny?
Yeah. I liked it okay.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I'm not a huge fan of any of those movies.
What?
I like them. I'm not like, oh, it's so cool. I like them, but I'm not like. I haven't seen them in a while too. Is another thing. I keep trying to watch the first one, and I've watched the Soderbergh. He does a black and white with music overlay, and I've watched a bit of that. I just can never. I don't know.
Man,
I don't know.
Temple of Doom, bro.
See, I don't even remember.
Great movie, man, and the stunts are insane in that movie. Like, there's a scene where, like, Indiana Jones, he crossed this long drawbridge in between these two cliffs, and he gets in the middle of it. And this is a bridge, like, there's like I don't know, it's got to be like 100-foot fall or something, and like. He threatens, like, he has bad guys approaching him on both sides. And all he could do is just threaten to cut the bridge off so that they would fall.
But he's on it.
Yeah, but he's on it. And he cuts the bridge off. And looking at that shot, I'm like, how did they shoot that? Like, it's intense, man. And then, so, of course, cool. the bridge falls, and he hangs onto one edge, and people are shooting arrows. And, yeah, man, Temple of Doom is fun. That's a really fun movie, man. I went back and watched it probably like last year, and I thought I was like, let me watch this, let me see if because I know I liked it as a kid, but like I was just as enthralled by it. That's Spielberg, man. He'll do that to you. He'll do that. Yeah, it's fun though. It's fun. I guess that would be an interesting character to meet in real life.
Yeah, he would have interesting stories and.
Now that I think about it, it may be a little more interesting than Darius.
I mean, you could get sage advice and all that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's an interesting question, though. You definitely have to hone it in, like, and limit it, because, wow. I mean, you can go all kinds of weird ways.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can even go to, like, aliens and...
I don't know if I want to be.
I'd like to be one of the aliens from Alien, right?
Oh,
yeah,
no,
that is not. No, no.
Have coffee with an alien from it.
But what about the designer though? Maybe he'd be cool. Remember
the designer
from Prometheus?
Oh, he's scary.
Maybe
he ripped
right?
that guy's.
No. Oh, that's right.
He was.
He was villainous, huh?
None of those Prometheus movies. They don't make any sense. I rewatched Prometheus.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, let's see if it's any better. Let me give it another shot.
Mm-hmm.
I understood it even less this time. It did. I had no idea. Like, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. I don't think it makes sense. The writing doesn't. I don't know. There's so many different things. Well, that's not the real xenomorphs, and that's one version of them, and there's other different and what are they creating and what are they destroying, and who knows? Nobody knows.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, what was the point of any of it? I don't know. I don't like Prometheus. Sorry.
Yeah.
Side rant.
Skyrim, yeah. I
Parisian.
wonder what they're gonna do with that franchise now. You know, it's
I think they're going to do a show. They're
Oh,
going to
yeah. Oh, you
Aliens
know-
on FX. Noah Hawley,
yeah. Noah Hawley's gonna do it,
and I think it's coming out soon.
Supposedly, I read something that said it was gonna be from the point of view from the xenomorph.
Oh
Like,
gosh,
I mean, if
weird.
if any other person was doing it, I'd have been like, oh god. But Noah Hawley, I don't know, man. I think he could do it. That guy is amazing.
he's
That
really
guy's
good.
amazing.
Yeah. On the side of how would you do? Do they talk and stuff?
Well, yeah. I mean, when I thought about it, I was thinking, well, you know, I guess in the film you have shown them communicating with each other before. It may be cheesy, but you could do something like add like
Dialogue.
subtitles. You know what I mean? That's what I was thinking. Add like subtitles.
That would be weird, man.
It'd be hilarious. But then again, I mean, you know, you can show them talking, you know, and they can be like, hi.
Yeah.
But then again, no, they can't
guess.
talk because one mouth comes out of one mouth. So ugh.
I mean, the little mouths could. You know,
Noah, you probably shouldn't do that. Maybe not. I just thought about that.
you better call them up now because they're about. I mean, it's almost. They've already filmed it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
should have them
I don't
just-
have my phone on me. Yeah, I'm gonna have to call them later. Yeah, I
Send
talk
him
to
an email.
Noah Hawley every once in a while, at least in my head. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. So I guess fictional character, Xenomorph.
Just getting coffee with a xenomorph.
Have a xenomorph that's drinking coffee. And they're like, well, actually, you know, they paid me such a bad. I'm really just trying to survive. Okay,
Yeah, why
you
are
guys
they so mad?
Yeah. Why are you so
What's their
mad,
problem?
Mister Xenomorph? He's like, I'm not mad. I'm hungry. Okay.
You know, my whole my complaint with those things, they always say like they're the most they're the best species or whatever. They're like that they've been bred to be the best species or something, right? Something like that they say.
Yeah, because they're a mixture or something like that. I think they were made to be weapons by the by the designers or whatever they're called. I can't remember.
But like they're genetically modified to be the best whatever. But they're not. They're not. They're not that good. People can defeat them with a gun.
Yeah, they could just blow that part of their head off.
Yeah.
That's where their brain is.
So they're not that good.
They're really, really fast.
They're fast.
Though.
Yeah, and you can put them like it makes sense. Like, oh, they're in tight closed spaceship. That's scary and they're dangerous. But it's like, are they really the best? And you know, I mean, why? Yeah. Anyway, I
really don't like those xenomorphs.
I don't like those xenomorphs.
Well, so now as far as our discussion today, something I wanted to talk about is the interesting use of like music and film. And I didn't know how to specifically ask a particular question because I'm leaving it open. But I am curious, like, as far as, you know, me being a musician, I definitely love a good score to a film. And to me, like, that can just heighten the experience of watching the film if it has a very good score, which actually a score isn't easy to create. And so I guess a question I had was like, you know, just within this, and you can take it off in any other direction, but like what's like a very memorable score in a film where to you it's just equally united to how good the film is?
I would say Jurassic Park.
So you went with John Williams, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that one in particular, you know, it wouldn't be as epic, and his score brings a lot to the table of that. And the movie too is cool and unique. You know, it's got a lot of good elements about it. It's a really good movie, but that score and the movie together is its own thing. Like, you know, it's a great score. I've always, I know they do live performances of that with orchestras. I've never been to one, but I really want to go to one because I love the cues that they do and well, yeah, I'm not, but that one is a
Yeah.
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 What about you?
I've got a few, man.
Well, yeah, there's a lot. There's
so much. I guess the first one I'd talk about is Carter Burwell. Carter Burwell is he's the guy that scores most of the Coen Brothers films. And he just, so the first one I'll mention is The Hudsucker Proxy, which is a Coen Brothers film, one of my faves by them. Of course, Coen Brothers are some of my favorite directors, but The Hudsucker Proxy, because it's a film that has, is very whimsical. And speaking of, before we talked about hope and light in films, it's very hopeful and in it. But man, that score he creates for that film is such a wonder. Like, it within it has this sense of exploring something. And it's, man, Carter Burwell, to be able to do that. Now, here's the thing about Carter Burwell. At one point, I didn't like him because I found out that, because the other score I love by him, which is the one that many like by him, is Fargo.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And so, and I found out.
The Hudsucker one. I don't remember that score.
Yeah, it's great, man, especially the epilogue. But I guess going to what I was saying about Fargo is amazing. But I found out that Fargo actually comes from a traditional song, and he took that song and sort of reworked it in Fargo. And I was kind of disappointed by that. You know, I was like, oh man, I thought he made it up. But I began to appreciate, though. I'm like, well, no, he knows what works. And in like watching the film, I can imagine he said, I know exactly what'll fit this. And so he went and listened to that song and sort of reworked it a little bit and took the part of that song that was most effective for what the film is trying to convey. And he redid that and put that in it. And I can respect that. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, he knows, because in the score for Fargo, like I can't explain it, but there's such you know how the Coen Brothers are always doing this sort of like philosophical, you know, what's going on with humanity? Who are we? What are we doing? Why did all of that is in that score when you listen to it?
Yeah,
all of it, man. It's fantastic. So for Carter Burwell to go from this like childlike wonder in a score for a Hudsucker Proxy to this very cynical, philosophical, what is the meaning of life score in Fargo, like that just shows his range. And those are my two examples, man.
I love all of the ones he does. So he's done all of the Coen Brothers, like
not
did
all,
he do No Country?
But most. Yeah, he did No Country.
That's a good. Well, yeah.
Well, you know, the interesting thing about No Country, though, is that it doesn't have a score
really
until the very end.
That's right.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, actually, that they did it like that.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm hearing weird stuff. Yeah, man, that's I like any score that you can identify the movie from the score. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, you hear it and you get reminded of scenes in the movie. And to me, that's amazing. Like, it's just, just to go along with a scene that you can pick out like images and then be like, and here's what happens with the score. And the score a lot of times really pushes the imagery as well. And you know, some people say, what is your take on people saying a score is cheating when it comes to like evoking emotion in your film, and you should not You should be able to make a movie without a score and it be as effective.
I mean, so I guess a statement like that, I'd say a statement like that has truth to it. And this is what I mean by that, right? If you are someone if you are someone that is making a film and at the end of your product, you're like, that's not conveying the emotion that I want. I need to add some music. Now, so I could see that cheating.
Yeah.
I could see that being cheating. But I don't think that's certain filmmakers. I think certain filmmakers say, there's an emotion that I'm going for, and they actually do capture it in the acting and in the writing and all of that stuff. And they say, now how can I enhance this? How can I bring them into this scene with music to where they're even more vulnerable to the emotion and the impact of it? And I think that's the difference. So actually, I remember years ago I did so I've done like the 48-hour film festival, like, I don't know, like 8 times. Never won any of them. But I remember one time, I think the very first one I did, the one with Stephanie in it. But the very first one I did, it was my job to come up with the score for it.
Yeah.
And of course, it was one of those times where I guess you could say I had to cheat because they were like, well, we need a score here. And but man, I remember how interesting it was creatively, because the scene was, unfortunately, the scene was a girl getting raped, and at the end of it, the guy like runs out, and I had to come up with a way to musically express the tragedy of her getting raped, but also the fear of the guy that was doing it, and like him running out. Like, I'm making this sound like way deeper than it actually was, because truthfully, it was a 48-hour film. So, truthfully, in this one, it wasn't that, it wasn't that deep. But me, I'm getting all deep and creative about it. I'm like, so how do I do this? And so, I found this violin line that played, and it was something about that when I snapped it, because I put a few different tracks to it, and I don't know why, but that particular violin song fit perfectly, or it was a sample. That particular violin sample just fit flawlessly with that scene. And I remember thinking, why didn't the others fit with this scene as perfectly? What is it about that? Which is why, going back to your question, it's like, well, I don't think it's cheating, because there are definitely things that fit within those scenes that just match them. It's almost like a glove. It's almost like the scene is like the hand, and you just place a glove, on something that you already had, and it fit perfectly. And that, honestly, in my opinion, that was the best part of that terrible 48-hour short film.
I like that analogy, the glove over the hand. Yeah, because when you do have, I've seen movies where the scene wasn't effective but the music was, and it's still it not being effective. Like the music, you're like, oh yeah, okay, here we go. But because there was like such a dissonance or a disconnect between the film and it not being good versus the music being good, it still didn't work. And so I kind of disagree with that whole philosophy of like people thinking it's cheating at all, because it's like, no, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Now, maybe it's heightened, maybe like it goes above, but the scene still has to be somewhat effective for it to work at all.
Right.
And I think the best ones, even if you didn't have a score, like it would still be effective. Another Johnny Greenwood is a huge. I'm a big fan of his work with Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah, There Will Be Blood is a memorable score, man.
His stuff with that's the kind where I'll just listen to that score and be like, pulled right into the imagery and be like, man. And that's where, like, I think he sets a tone, you know? His sets like an actual, not just a music thing to go along, but like an actual tone for the whole thing. Like, in all the stuff, like the Master, Phantom Thread is an excellent one. All of them. Inherent Vice is cool. Like they all feel very. I don't know. That pairing is such a good pairing between those two. Yeah, I love all of his stuff.
Yeah, you know, going back to that question about cheating, I guess we can bring it back around to No Country for Old Men, because what the Coen brothers did is they were like, well, we don't need a score.
Yeah. It's
You know,
super
they right, and it's super effective. So they looked and said, this is not necessary, therefore, you know, we don't need it, because and I don't think it was a situation where they were like, you know, that's cheating. Clearly it's not, because their other movies have scores. It's just that the tone that is set by that film doesn't require, because think about it, it makes sense with the film. You know, you're in this Texas dry, arid kind of land, and you're dealing with sort of this bleak atmosphere, you know, of the murder, you know, and of course the cynicism that the Coen brothers bring to it. All of that mixed together, it's like we don't need music, because the music may take you away a little bit, whereas what they're trying to do with the film is just bring you into a world that is hopeless, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so in that, yeah, like they didn't need a score, because the storytelling didn't need a score, you know, so to speak. I think there's like a little rumble in that scene between Anton Chigurh and the store clerk, which is a great scene.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think there's a little bass rumble, but that's it. It's not actual, you know, it's not actual score or like, you know, melody or anything like that.
You know what's interesting about that particular one is, to me, the score is to me the score is the dialogue and like the sound design.
That's an interesting way to put it,
because it's all very striking. Like it starts off with the guy explaining that story or telling that story. It's such a like lyrical way he delivers those lines. That is like the start of like a Fargo, where the music starts in. His dialogue and the way it was written, and Cormac McCarthy's writing, I'm sure they borrowed heavily from his writing. I would think. I haven't read the book, but so you could it's interesting. Like it's a whole other level of effective storytelling. It's cool that they kind of were like, yeah, we don't need it. We're not going to do score for this. We're just going to do. It's just going to the sound of different things.
Yeah, you know that when you say that makes me think of like other scores and different uses for them, right? Because also something that a score is effective for, you know, consciously effective for, meaning that they use this particularly for this, is cues. Because think about how effective the score for Twin Peaks is.
Yeah.
You know, like
very effective.
Just that music, when that music plays, that lets you know a key element in the story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's what helps. That's what a good scoring does. That's why I'm a fan of certain people that use their score, you know, because like people like John Williams, and I guess John Williams does this too to a degree, but his scores are like very beautiful and grand, and they have these lengths that they go to, and it does repeat throughout it. But like you have other scores that repeat, but they repeat very specific things. In other words, they repeat it specifically for you to think of something every time it comes in, like the Twin Peaks score.
Yeah.
And that's something that I like that David Lynch uses in that, because then, like you're saying, the score becomes its own dialogue that's telling you something when it starts to playing, which it's also the same thing that's used in the show series Fargo. Whenever they bring that same line from that Fargo music back, you know just something is being said. It could just show cars driving, but when that score starts, it's like, okay, we are entering the bleak humanity. At this point, we are wondering why humanity does what it does and what is wrong with it. It's amazing. That's why in my newest film, A Few Seconds of Violence, I was encouraged to score it myself because I was looking for somebody to score it. And I was encouraged to score it myself by actually one of the actors in it, who's a really cool dude. What's up, John? But I was encouraged to score it myself, and I drew inspiration from the repeated nature of Fargo.
Yeah.
You know, just to repeat it like that again, which of course
it feels very Fargo.
Yeah, it definitely is.
But being its own thing.
Yeah, but that was the goal, and of course, you know, David Pencil did it with Under too.
Yeah.
So but that repeating of that, it's you know, really effective. It's really effective.
Yeah. Yeah, it's when it's almost like a score is doing a lot of work. A score is telling a story with those cues and with the themes that they keep doing and when it's going to repeat or what it's giving clues to. You know, if you have a bad score, it gives that away too on the nose, but the right score blends it together really well. Mm-hmm. And it is amazing. You can just, how important that is to have a score. That's why, to me, like when people say it's cheating or whatever, I'm like, no, you're if you're doing it the right way, then the artistry of it is just as important as like what shots you chose. And you know what I mean? Like it is the language of a film. Like it's so important. And to me, it's just incredible. And that's why it's part of the reason why I like film so much as an art form, is because you do have all these elements.
Yeah, it's collaborative.
It's all to point a story in a different direction, or to, you know, wherever you're going with the story. And if everything's kind of doing it right, all of those lead you, and that is the story. It's everything. It's visuals, it's audio, it's dialogue, it's acting, it's all of it. And it is amazing every time. Like when those all come together really well. It's amazing.
So speaking of scoring, a fun fact is years ago, so there's a film that I have that you can go watch called Under, and I played for a Jewish congregation years ago, and they would always play this like song. It was called Solomon's Prayer, and I played guitar to it. And the team, the lady, she had a beautiful voice. I think she went to Juilliard or something, but she had a beautiful like operatic voice. And like whenever they would sing it, I would just see these images in my head, because it was like in a minor key. It was super dramatic, but it was also real reverent and everything. So I was like, man, like I gotta put that in a movie. And so like when we were doing Under, I remember I got in contact with the guy that wrote that song, and I'm like, hey, you know, can I use your song in my film? And he responded back, no, you're not allowed, because I think he did like the subject matter of Under. But it was awesome when we got the cool thing about that is that we got David Pencil to score under,
Yeah.
and he did a fantastic job of using that song as a reference and bringing out like his own unique element into Under. So like it's pretty cool. You guys can go watch it if you want. Once again, that's on here. It's one of the short films we did.
Check it out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Speaking of scoring, so it just I guess saying all that to say like, yeah, scoring for me is like so essential, so important, just as much as I like the way you put that, just as much as dialogue is. So
that's one thing I'm really happy about because like my first one that I made down here was The Amazing Levitation of Matthew Renner, and our friend Todd Waldron, he did the score for that, and I love it. I like to this day I still watch it and I'm just really impressed. And it elevates the movie way more than it would without it. And I feel lucky that we've gotten really good scorers, like to do the composers to make these things. Because it's so important, and I think there's a lot of like low budget filmmakers that they kind of don't do that, or they don't care, or they find like a temp track, free royalty stuff that's not really designed for the movie, and I understand why, and it's totally fair, and for certain projects we've done that too, but like it is. If you can have someone to score your thing, do it, because it really is. It's everything. It is part of the film. It's just as important as everything else. Like
it's worth it.
If you're gonna hire like actors and this and that, make a whole movie. Now there's other like Lord of the Rings score for that. Great. It's so good. It makes the movie. You know what I mean? Like you hear that score and you're like, yes, you're right in that world.
Yeah.
What else?
I just want to say in your film, Amazing Levitation of Matthew Renner, it's a good example of what I was saying before, how the music cues a particular thing. Because that last shot, when he comes to the realization, I'm not going to spoil it, go watch it, but that last shot when he comes to that realization, that music
and
comes
it starts to come in.
And it's like that. You as the audience, you're like, oh man, he gets it. Even if you don't know what he gets, he gets something.
Yeah,
and that's just that. Yeah, exactly. That's like the power of a good score. But also, I was gonna say, you asked what other movies. Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah.
Kronos Quartet. I think they did a fantastic job.
That's a good
with
one.
with that. Now, even though Lux Aeterna. Yeah, that one, Lux Aeterna. They didn't wait.
They reused it, right?
I think they reused that. I think.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I remember at first I thought they wrote it. I thought it was original. No, I think they actually used it. But that one, that was so effective in that film. It's a part of the film. And but what's awesome, it was so effective that even later, Lord of the Rings used it in a trailer.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's right.
Yeah, because it's just like dramatic, intense, just like Requiem for a Dream is.
Yeah, it matches it really well, the intensity. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's intense. I have a complaint. And so there's movies that'll come out now and they're supposed to be blockbusters. Mm-hmm. And they'll have the most generic score you could imagine. And I've looked into this as to why that is and all this kind of stuff. And there's like, people will say like, well, nowadays I don't even know. There was reasons like, so Marvel movies, right? They don't have the unique sounds where you listen to it and you're like, I can pinpoint that. which is a tragedy.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I've heard that because they want to be uniform, I guess, a little bit, and they don't want you to focus on that so much. They just want you to be in the action of it and this and that. I disagree because, maybe the Marvel universe can be more solidified if they all have that kind of score. I can get that where they don't, they all have to be one movie pretty much. That's what they're building. I understand it to that degree. But I also think, with DC, they have like cues. So like Wonder Woman has a cue. So when she shows up on the screen, they do that da 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 da, and then whatever. And with the same with the Batman, so they can have these different characters have cues, which is a great kind of alternative to the Marvel thing. But what's your take on that? And it's not even just Marvel. It's kind of like bigger movies don't have unique scores.
Right.
When they could. I mean, they can hire anybody. So
I watched a video on these guys talking about actually they were people that score films. I can't remember the other guys' names. It was only 3 of them, but it was them 2 and it was Danny Elfman. And they were talking about how
Danny Elfman, man.
Yeah, and we forgot we didn't even mention him.
Yeah.
But they were talking about how one of the things that frustrates them the most is when directors come to them with reference music. Because they were basically saying that they'll edit a rough cut with reference music. They were basically saying they'll edit a rough cut with reference music as a part of it. And then they would expect them to recreate the reference music.
And it has to match the cuts.
Right.
Yeah,
And they were saying that what we rather prefer is just not have any reference music and let us come up with it. And I think that's where the uniqueness starts to come from when it comes to films. Yeah. But I think with large productions like Marvel productions, it gets to a point, I think, in its scale and its scope, it's so large and huge that they really do feel like it's insignificant to have a unique scoring experience. At least unique in the sense of remembering, the score is so effective that you remember it. That they may do things that are unique in the sense of when a character comes on screen, it changes. The score changes a little bit, but even still, that it within the scope of the whole thing, it's not as. It's almost like you don't remember it outside of the movie.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You don't really think about it outside of the.
If you heard it on the radio, you wouldn't be like, "Oh, that's that."
Exactly. And so I think I think they do. I don't agree with that particularly. I agree with your disagreement of that.
Yeah.
Because I think they're doing people a disservice. But then again, once again, like it's such a huge scale. It's a lot of people that, simultaneously, I don't think anybody that's expecting to be unique should apply for a Marvel job as scoring the film. They're going to go with what they want to go with. You know what I mean?
It takes the artist. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's artistry within the confines of it all, but it's like if you could have Jurassic Park level thing where you hear that and you think about a scene from a movie and there's concerts. You can go to a concert, them playing the score to that. There's no Marvel
I know, right?
Like,
I mean, if it is, it's not like it's not like a thing. I guess.
No, it's nobody cares about that. Like, but like, wouldn't you want to? Why wouldn't? If you had the option of both, I mean, I just don't. I get it to a degree, but barely. I barely understand why would they do that. And because now like Indiana Jones too is that John Williams as well?
Yeah.
Like that guy is amazing, but you got like scores that like are the movies, and you don't have that anymore these days.
Yeah,
at all.
It's a lost art.
It's a bummer.
Yeah,
movies aren't as special because of it. It's like there's just another action movie now. There's no. They could have their own voice, What a shame.
What a shame. Oh well.
Yeah.
But don't worry, because our films will have good scores.
Yes, we're dedicated to doing that because I think it's a lost art and it should come back. Yeah.
Well, all right, you guys. That is our podcast for today. Once again, stay tuned to this channel where we are going to be having more podcasts as well as a different range of videos, including possible movie reviews and movie breakdowns and such things. And if each of these films that we have done are on this channel. So if you want to get to know us more, please, you will learn us even more if you watch our films, because they are in the links below, or they're somewhere on the page below, right there.
They're on the channel.
They're on the channel.
Yeah.
So you should definitely go watch them.
And what's your favorite score?
Mm-hmm.
What do you like about scores? Do you think it should return as an art form? Or do you think scores are overrated? What do you think?
We would like to know. Put it down in the comments.
Yeah.
Be sure to hit the like button as well as you put your comment in there, because that'll be pretty cool too.
Yeah. Might as well go ahead and subscribe while you're at it.
Yeah, might as well.
Might as well.
See you guys later.
Bye.